everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my October and November book haul. Lots of books came out in October. It was just book after book after book. So many of my most anticipated releases of this year were actually October releases, and then some of my other ones were November releases. And I had gone all summer and I hadn't really bought that many books because there wasn't I was trying to get through ones on my shelf. I wasn't really reading much anyway over the summer, and there just wasn't many that I was anticipating that were coming out. And then October and November hit and I have spent so much money on books in the past 2 months, and I think it kind of just makes up for it because I haven't been doing it throughout the whole year. But there are some amazing books that came out and I've read quite a lot of them, so I'm really looking forward to sharing them with you today so we can discuss. So the first book that we will talk about is Dear Evan Hansen, the novel. Val Emick, and then the creators of the show as well, also contributed to this book. So for those that don't know, Dear Evan Hansen is a show which is currently on Broadway and is on tour in America and is coming to the West End next year, so I'm very excited to the fact that it's coming to London. It's such an amazing show, and they have turned the show into a novel version, which is this book. The show is about a boy called Evan Hansen, who is he has sort of anxiety, and he's really nervous to interact with people. He doesn't really like talking to other people, and he is seeing a therapist, and his therapist says he has to write a letter to himself every day to tell himself why that day is going to be a good day. Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be a good day, and here's why. And then he has to say why his day is going to be good, and it's not going to be as scary and overwhelming, and the bad things that he thinks will happen are not going to happen. Evan is at school one day and he is writing his letter in the computer room, and he prints it out, and a guy called Connor sees this letter, and Connor's sister Zoe is mentioned in the letter because Evan likes her, and Connor thinks that Evan did it deliberately because he knew Connor was in the room and that this was completely 100% aimed at him. So Connor steals the letter and takes it home with him. Evan signs these letters with "Sincerely me," not from Evan, because he's writing to himself, and unfortunately Evan finds out a couple of days later that Connor has committed suicide. His parents have found this letter and they think that Connor has written the letter to Evan and that they were friends. Really escalates from there, and Evan, he doesn't want to basically tell this grieving family who think that their son, who they didn't know very well, actually had a friend, so he gets swept up in this entire web of lies, and it is not a fun time. And this book is the novelization of that. I prefer the show. I think that a lot of people that I know that have read this book have said they preferred the show as well. This book did go in more detail, and it was really good to have more detail of the characters and to get to know them a little bit more. But there were a couple of scenes in this which just didn't fit as well, and didn't fit in with the story that I already knew. So I gave this book 3.5 stars. I did really like it, and I think if you really like the show and you're interested by the show, I would 100% read it because I think it's really good, and like I said, it's a nice little addition and more information. But I definitely still did prefer the show because there were just a couple of bits in this which just didn't feel like 100% how I would have pictured it. Next up we have What If It Says by Becky Abatali and Adam Silvera, and over the course of 2 weeks I ended up with 3 copies of this book. I don't really know how. I mean, well, I do, but I mean, yeah. So basically, I got the first copy of this. This is the copy that I had pre-ordered ages ago when the pre-order link first went up, and I knew that I wanted to read this book because they're 2 of my favourite authors and they're fantastic. So I pre-ordered this a while ago and received this copy. I then absolutely demolished this copy in one reading, and very much it looks like it has been read. I was going to the book signing and event in London for Becky and Adam when they came as part of their UK tour, and I knew that I wanted to get a nicer copy to have signed because I didn't want a copy that had loads of marks and had been marked up signed. So I wanted to order the American edition of the book, which is beautiful, but it wouldn't have arrived in time for the signing, so I ended up buying what was my second copy of the English cover that was then ultimately signed by Becky and Adam, which was great. And after that signing, I went into Foyles with my friend Becky, who I went to the signing with, and they had the American edition. And there was 2 left, and we were like, it's left for us. At this point, obviously we couldn't go back into the signing and get them signed, But it was so pretty, and I really, really love this cover, and because it is one of my favourite books and some of my favourite authors, I do collect different covers from those particular things if I really love an author, if I really, really love a book. So I did end up getting the American edition as well, but it's so pretty. Foyles is brilliant. Like, I absolutely love Foyles. I think Foyles is my favourite, like, mainstream bookstore because they can order things, they get different covers, they have an amazing international and different language section. I feel like the selection is so much more varied in Foyles, and it's so good, and I absolutely love it. One of It Says is a co-written book, like I said, by Becky Abertali, who wrote Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which then became the film Love, Simon, and by Adam Silvera, who wrote More Happy Than Not, They Both Die at the End, and History Is All You Left Me. This book focuses on Ben and Arthur, and it is a dual perspective novel. Arthur is just in New York for the summer working at his mum's law firm, and he meets Ben, who's a New Yorker through and through, and they kind of have like a misconnection because they go their separate ways without getting each other's details, and they don't really know kind of how to find each other, so it kind of focuses on trying to find each other and then their summer and kind of having this one summer together and that whole story. I absolutely love this book. I think the older I get, the more I realise it doesn't have to be a happy wonderful they lived happily ever after ending, but that actually it's really important that at some point during your life you have people that come into your life, whether it be for a day or a week or a month or a summer or a year or 5 years, and that they were supposed to be in your life for that time to kind of teach you something or give you something or to kind of have that experience. And I really, really appreciate those kind of things the older I get, because I'm aware of how realistic that is and how that kind of is how things work and how people are kind of supposed to be in your life as when they are. So I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was really, 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 really good, and it's worth having 3 copies because I thought it was brilliant. Next up, one of my absolute, I would probably say this is like in my top 3 anticipated books for the year, and I was so excited that it finally became release day, and that was The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. I was trying to focus on her face, that's so funny. For those who don't know, this book is a sequel to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, which came out last year, and that book is a blessing to this world. It's just fantastic. Henry Montague, or Monty as we know him, he is 18 and he is about to go on his gentleman's tour of Europe. It's set in the 1700s with his best friend Percy before Percy goes to law school, and he takes over his like father's like estate and becomes a lord. His father is a lord, and basically that's not how things go down. And it's so fun, like it's just hilarious, but it deals with sexuality because Monty is very much in love with Percy. Will he ever tell him though? That's the question. So it deals with different types of sexuality, with racism, disability, and it's just so good. It's so good. And this is the sequel which focuses on Felicity after the events of The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and it starts with her being in Scotland. This one has a romantic and asexual representation as well. Felicity, it's not specifically stated, but I think that's what her sexuality has been confirmed as, and it's just so good. It's so good. It's so funny, and I love Felicity. And there's a character in this called Joanna who's an absolute queen. Like, I absolutely love her. I'm going to do a whole video about this book and like a proper review of it, but she's an absolute queen. Percy Newton is the like absolute love of my life. He is just the best, and I love Monty so much. So just basically read this series. It's the best series. I love it to pieces and feel like everybody should experience the wonder that is the Montague siblings. Okay, next on my list is Sometime After Midnight by Al Phillips, and this is about Nate and Cameron who meet in a bar in kind of like a downtown Los Angeles club. It's kind of like loosely based on the Cinderella storyline. So Nate lives with his stepmother because his father committed suicide, and he thinks that he committed suicide because he was a musician and the record label that he was with was really, really pushy and basically drove him to end his own life. Nate and Cameron meet in this club, and then Nate realises that Cameron is actually the son of the owner of the record label that his dad was signed with, so he hightails out of there, doesn't want anything to do with him, like the Cinderella leaving at midnight trope. But he does not leave a shoe there. However, a picture is snapped of Nate's shoes, which he doodles all over, and to be honest, the first page of this he talks about how they're Captain America shoes, and Steve Rogers would have liked them, and to be honest, that is part of the reason why I bought the book, because I opened up to the first page, read it, gave it a scan in the shop, saw Captain America, saw Steve Rogers, was all on that shit. Because Cameron's family are very famous, his sister has millions of followers on Instagram. She posts a picture of this shoe to say, like, anyone know this guy with these really colourful decorative shoes? Like, my brother's looking for him, and it all unfolds from there. I'm halfway through this book and I actually have not made a decision on it yet. I don't know how I completely feel. I'm enjoying reading it, but I'm not like, this is amazing, I have to continue it. But I am enjoying it and it is okay, but I will have more of a fully formed opinion once I have finished it. Next up, I have Wicker by Harmony Nice, and this is a non-fiction book all about paganism and Wicca, and it's a modern guide to witchcraft and magic. So Harmony Nice is a YouTuber, and her videos, I will link her channel down below, are all about kind of Wicca and paganism and kind of everything that is involved with that. It's something I find incredibly interesting and something that I'm like learning more and more and more about. And Harmony Nice actually did a talk at a festival near me recently, kind of to promote the book and to talk about her experiences, and it was so interesting. And yeah, this book's been really helpful and good, and I'm looking for more books that are similar if anyone has any recommendations. Then I got the illustrated Tales of Beedle the Bard by obviously written by J.K. Rowling, and this particular illustrated version of one of her books was illustrated by Chris Riddell, which I was very excited about because he has a very interesting, like his illustrations are fantastic, and I was interested to see how that would come out within all these different stories. But like, look at Dumbledore on the back. We love him. I just think they're really cool. I love these illustrated versions of the J.K. Rowling books. They did Fantastic Beasts, they did Beedle the Bard, that I'm hoping that means they're going to do Quidditch Through the Ages, and obviously that they are making their way through the illustrated Harry Potter series. Jim Kay is doing those, and I think Goblet of Fire is coming out next year in 2019, so I'm very excited. Then I think this was another October purchase. I got Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, the collector's pretty. I love it. It says no mourners, no funerals on the bag, and it's gorgeous and just amazing. The pages are red and the map of Kishtam is red too. I mean, I bloody love this series. So for those that may not know, Six of Crows is a duology. There's Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and it's set in the same world as Leigh Bardugo's Grisha trilogy, and it focuses on a guy called Kaz Brecker who has been hired to carry off this heist to break into this impenetrable palace fortress place, so he has to get a team together. This book is fantastic. This is like one of the most kind of diverse worlds and well built up worlds and interesting worlds, and just so fantastic, and I absolutely love this series. This is another one which like I just want to throw at everyone and be like, this is fantastic, please read it, because it's just brilliant. Leigh Bardugo is fantastic. She's 100% one of my favourite authors, and it's just amazing. Then also I got A Map of Days by Ransom Riggs, which is the fourth book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. Obviously I will not tell you what this book's about because I don't want to ruin the series, but Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children focuses on a boy called Jacob who granddad always told him these stories, and everyone just thought that his granddad was kind of getting old and was a bit mad and was kind of making all this stuff up. But then when Jacob actually goes to this place, he finds out that the stories were true, and he meets Miss Peregrine and her home of peculiar children, and they live basically in a time loop. They live the same day over and over again, so they never age and nothing ever changes, and it kind of unfolds from there. This is the fourth book in this series. I haven't actually got around to reading this yet. It's a big one, and I know I need to kind of commit my brain to it because it was a while since I read the third one, and I don't have time to reread the series. So I know I'm gonna have to be like reading this while like thinking about what happened in the last one. But I'm really looking forward to finally getting into this one. I'm probably gonna read it over the Christmas break because I have a little bit of time off, so I'm really looking forward to starting it. And then I got Stranger Things, The World Turned Upside Down, and this is the official behind the scenes companion of Stranger Things, the TV series, which is on Netflix, which is like probably like one of my favorite, like top 3 favorite TV shows. I want to do a full like look at this book in a video because it's amazing. So it literally has this sticker on it which says Malvold's General Store Fair, and it's supposed to look like all broken and like ragged and just a bit old, because you know, 80s. And this is just all the information about the show, and it goes into really in-depth behind the scenes. There's a Morse code thing, there's Morse code at the bottom of some of the pages, you can work out what it's saying, and there's little bits of hints and stuff for season 3, which is coming out summer 2019. I'm so excited. Like, this book is just amazing. I just keep working through it. Like, I haven't been like, I've just like every sort of some evenings I've been taking my time to like decode what it's been saying and like learn more about the show, and I absolutely love it. But like I said, I kind of want to do like a more in-depth like flip through and look at this book because It's amazing. Then I have Good Morning, Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda and illustrated by Johnny Sun. This is a non-fiction book of just little pep talks for me and you. And basically, if you don't know who Lin-Manuel Miranda is, he wrote Hamilton, he wrote the songs for Moana, he made In the Heights. He is a creative genius, and I only ever wish that my brain is able to come up with like a minuscule amount of the creative genius that he can put into the world. He is wonderful. He, on Twitter, if you don't follow him, every morning tweets a little good morning message and every night tweets a good night message. And they are usually just really sweet and inspirational. And he's put some of those into a book. So the one I've just turned to as an example is Good Morning. Wake up achy and sad? Not alone. Woke up with joy and purpose? Not alone. Any way you slice it, you're not alone. Let's go. Good night. Heading to bed achy and sad? Not alone. Headed to bed with gratitude and satisfaction? Not alone. Any way you slice it, you're not alone. Let's... Johnny Sun does the illustrations that are just so good and really add to the little messages, and they're really cool and lovely illustrations. One of my favourite ones is actually on the back of the book, which is Good morning, eyes up, hearts up, mind sharp, compassion on full blast, sips coffee. Okay, let's go. Good night, eyes shut, hearts open, minds calm, empathy on full blast, sips tea. Okay. Let's go. I love this. He's just brilliant, and this book is just really nice and wonderful. And look at this, also look at this cover. It's just so good. But yeah, I love him. And then finally, the last book in this haul is The Reckoning of Noah Shaw by Michelle Hodkin. For those that don't know, there is a series called there's a Mara Dyer trilogy, which Michelle Hodkin released. And the first book is called The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, and it is the book that kick-started all of this. In Mara's series, she meets Noah Shaw, and this series is a continuation of Mara's series, but in Noah's perspective. So there is the original Mara trilogy, and then there will be the 3 books in the Noah series. This is the second book in the Shaw Confessions trilogy, which is a trilogy that follows on from Mara Dyer's Noah's perspective of everything that's happened kind of afterwards and carrying on from that. I bloody love this book. For those that don't know, the original series, because I won't talk about this one because it will spoil the original one, but the original Mara Dyer series focuses on a girl called Mara, obviously Mara Dyer. She finds out that she kind of has these powers, and she can, like, if she wishes someone dead, they die. They all unfold from there. She meets people that are similar. Her and Noah end up finding out they're like very connected, and there's lots going on there. They've got a very intense relationship and lots of things go down. But it's such a fantastic series. I absolutely love it. It's definitely one of my top 5 favourite series of all time. So those are the books that I got in October and November. I'd love to know if you've read any of these, if you've got any of these, is there any of these you're really looking forward to. Do let me know so we can discuss. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!